Hey guys, welcome back to the Lopes Goes Last Podcast channel. I am here with my next guest here, Matty Williams. This has been announced for quite a while. I think I made a video just talking about my plan and everything over the next couple of months. I think I might have made that a month ago at this point, and things have happened. I've canceled, he's canceled. It's just been a whirlwind of a time, but we finally got Matty. I finally was able to track him down. We were able to get a couple of hours here where we could sit down and do this. Matt, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. It's glad to be here. After all that craziness we went through trying to plan this, I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. And I'm excited to have you, man. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. You and I have always had such an awesome and fun relationship. And I'm really excited to kind of, just get to kind of ask you questions and just to interview you here about what you know on sports, because as much as I think we know about each other, I don't really know the depth and breadth of your knowledge of sports. So I'm very, very interested to kind of see where this goes. So I do want to start with kind of just, starting at home a little bit for you. Colorado Rockies. If people who have seen my channel before, who saw the interview with Clay Turpin and Thomas Williams, Matt is Thomas's brother. So just in case you guys know, in case, there's somebody that watches this that doesn't know who Matt is, kind of make that connection there. So Matt you are also a Rockies fan. So I'll ask you the same question that I asked Thomas. What was your kind of reaction to the Rockies offseason moves, especially over the last couple of years, not even necessarily this offseason, but just kind of the entire picture that they have painted out for you? What's your kind of reaction to that so far?
Well, I mean, now, like this past offseason, it wasn't anything kind of shocking. The Rockies in the past, they tend to not make these blockbuster moves and things like that. But here and there, like they'll do it, And I think they rely a lot on their farm system, which isn't a bad thing. But you got to have like that star guy. And then after Nolan leaving, that was okay. What do we do now? And then with Story leaving this past offseason, it was. I didn't really know. I was like, wow, what's the next move? But then, Bryant got signed. Man, I thought that was like winning the lottery, being a Rockies fan, because when you stay under the radar for so long and, LA's making moves and Boston's making moves, all these, big ticket teams are making moves, we got Trevor Story. This is crazy,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, honestly, that Colorado, if I had to choose for them to do something, I think, kind of take those risks on those guys that have been in the league for a little bit and not just be like, we got this young guy coming up. Like that's great, but you need something to kind of build that off of. And like experience comes from people that have been around it for a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's an awesome mentality to have, because I know a lot of not only Rockies fans, but just baseball fans in general are kind of scratching their heads going like, I don't understand. Like, why didn't you just keep Nolan? Why didn't you, just keep Story? I mean, they were already in they came up through your farm system. They'd already proven that they were going to be successful in Colorado, which is never a guarantee with players, because, you always hear the horror stories of, when you go to Colorado, you can't play on the road because the difference in the air and the difference in the speed of everything and the spin of everything's different.
And stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And Chris Bryant is one of those guys that, he doesn't just play third base, plays first, plays outfield, and the air and reading fly balls in Colorado, it's different, and it always will be different. That's just the nature of Denver. That's just kind of how it is. So it is awesome to hear that attitude of like, because I think there was so much pessimism with it. I think that's the word. I don't know, whatever it is. There was a lot of negativity. We'll rephrase it with that move, because it just kind of felt oddly out of place. Like, it kind of felt like the Rockies were just throwing in the towel, and they ended up just kind of spending a lot of money on a guy that would obviously make your team better. And you should always want to make your team better. But I'm sure a lot of fans were thinking at this point, why even try and make our team better? Because it's not going to happen.
And I know there's one real quick thing about like the whole like Nolan and Story thing too, when Nolan got his large contract, I don't remember what it was, but I think it was an 8-year contract, and he had a 2-year opt-out. And, we had me and Thomas had like, I bet you he'll play the 2 years and then opt out. And that's exactly what he did, I mean, Colorado gave him the money, like this is, but they also gave him a chance to opt out, which he ended up doing, going to St. Louis, And then with Story, I had seen that Colorado did offer him more than what Boston did, but he said that he wanted to go someplace that he could win, which is like kind of a jab. But I mean, I can't really be like, oh no, dude, that's unfair. No, I mean, this is your job, this is your career. I get it. You want to go be successful, and like you said, yeah, playing in Colorado is not easy. Even down the little T-ball kids, man, it's a different ball game going anywhere else, you know.
For sure. So, how are you feeling about where the Rockies are right now?
Honestly, the same way I feel every year. You know, they start out hot, and then they tend to decline really, really quickly. And it may be because other teams start out slow and then work their way up, or some teams just start hot, stay hot. But I don't know. I mean, I think this Rockies team is definitely an interesting group. You know, it's definitely some that I never thought to be put together the way it is, from the aspect of, you know, you got young guys, you got old guys, but they're all kind of, you know, from the outside looking in, kind of like the same playing field to an extent, you know. Mm-hmm. So like I said, they started off hot this year, and then the season's still young too, but they started off really hot and they dropped a little bit. And again, playing the NL West too, that doesn't really help either. You're behind what? Arizona, they go neck and neck a lot, and then you have, you know, the Dodgers, San Diego, and San Francisco, so all those California teams. That definitely doesn't help at all. But I think that, yeah, I mean, I want to say that I think that it'll pick up for him, and I really hope it does. But, you know, being a Rockies fan, and especially being just around that team for so long, it's just kind of, it's another year, and I hope it doesn't get that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So one person I want to talk about in terms of the Colorado Rockies is German Marquez. And the reason I bring him up is because, well, it's twofold. One, because, you know, we've seen all these other pitchers on the Rockies extended. Antonio Senzatella signed a contract extension. Kyle Freeland signed a contract extension. You guys obviously let John Gray go. I believe he's on the Rangers now, if I remember correctly. So, you know, that's kind of, you know, your rotation has kind of been very consistent of the same group over the last few years. And then obviously now without John Gray, it is still a very similar group. So that's one reason I wanted to bring him up, is I don't believe you guys have extended him yet. And then you might have, I might have missed it. But and then the second reason is because, you know, he's really been the one guy that I've seen in my lifetime be consistently good for a very long period of time in a Colorado Rockies uniform as a starter. Now, you've had some guys like Ubaldo Jimenez that came in for a couple of years and really dominated, and then they ended up moving on. But honestly, other than him, unless I'm completely blanking, I can't really think of any other pitcher that has been with the Colorado Rockies for a long number of years and been that consistently good. Again, I might be forgetting somebody, but I can't think of one. So I guess my question to you would be, what about German Marquez specifically has made him so successful in Colorado? Because I know a big part of it is sliders. Big, hard righty sliders tend to do well in Colorado, yes. But there have been plenty of guys that have big, dominant righty sliders that have pitched in Colorado, and almost none of them have been successful. So what makes German Marquez so special, and what makes him so successful in Colorado, in your mind?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, from, like I said, from an outside looking at standpoint, besides Freeland and all those other guys, you know, being that righty, and like I said, yeah, pitching Colorado is not easy. And yeah, I've seen a number of righties that have just gotten show with their sliders in Colorado. I've seen it more than anything else. But I really haven't seen a pitcher that pitches so, I guess, comfortably at Coors and for that team, if that's like the right term, as Marquez does, you know. There's one thing that I could for sure, no matter what, possibly say about Colorado, is that the team itself, man, they always just fit together. You know, whether they're losing together, winning together, does not matter. They're always, you know, that is the definition in my mind of one team, you know. And I really think, and besides, you know, whether it's, you know, his workouts or the way, you know, he prepares himself for starts, anything like that, I just think, you know, I want to say he's very comfortable. I want to say, you know, he knows who he has behind him. He knows who he has in front of him, and he knows what to do. And I think he has a really good knowledge that in my opinion, gets overlooked by the baseball world, you know. that, this guy did his homework. And look at not every start's gonna be great. That's with anybody. But like this, like I can safely say this guy's going out to the mound. I'm like, all right, he's gonna be a dog. He's gonna fight. He's gonna see. He in my mind, I want to say, he read this lineup up and down, and he knows what this person likes, what this one, what can't hit, stuff like that. So I think that's a big part, in my opinion, to his success in Coors Field. Minus like his like physical attributes and things like that.
Yeah, that certainly makes a lot of sense. And I obviously can't speak to the day-to-day processes of German Marquez. I don't watch the Colorado Rockies on a daily basis, so you certainly can speak more to that than I can. I think another guy that was reasonably successful in a Rockies uniform was John Gray, who you let go, and he was one of those guys. He obviously had a little bit more potential than what he ended up showing in Colorado, but his overall body of work wasn't bad necessarily. It was just more inconsistent than I think people would have liked. So when a guy like that has so much potential ends up leaving, especially in a rotation that lacks star power or lacks that true ace, other than of course Marquez now, over the last decade, what do you kind of feel when a guy like that ends up leaving?
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with Jimenez back in the early 2010s or mid 2010s, and then other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of pitchers that did that. You had, like I said, we talked about earlier, you had Nolan leave, you had Story leave, you have all these guys leave. And LeMahieu, we talk about that all the time. Like, he was great in Colorado, he was good in Colorado, but I mean, he's next level in New York. Arenado, I think is just great in period. But he'll find a way to take it to the next level in St. Louis. He
might win the MVP this year.
I would not be upset about that at all.
Yeah,
honestly,
he's playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah. Excuse me. It's something that, from a pitching standpoint, I haven't seen that in a few years, and I really feel like, as much as John Gray was invested in the team and in the community as well, and we saw it growing, like living back there, like the way he really cared about where he was, and him and his wife do great things for the community and things like that. I just feel like deep down, and not to sound like kind of cliche, but there was like a piece of him that just wasn't really there, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I'm in no way knocking John Gray. I think he's a great pitcher and an even better person, but I just feel like he kind of felt that he could kind of take it somewhere else where he could fully develop more. And maybe it was something that was missing not on his end, but in the organization's end. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So seeing him go is kind of really, what's the kind of deal behind that? Especially being a pitcher, because like I said, you have all these guys leave, they're your franchise tag guys, and then from a pitching standpoint, you're like, hey, we're not the strongest in pitching. We all know that. We have solid dudes, but it's not like, mm-hmm. we ain't got 1 through 5 like the 2019, 2020 Dodgers rotation, which was legit, or the Astros World Series run their pitching staff, despite all the Astros stuff. But
I don't care about the Astros stuff. That pitching staff is ridiculous.
Yeah, the pitching staff was. It was top to bottom. You look at him, you're like, hey, dang.
You got 5 All-Stars.
These guys are legit. And I really thought John Gray could be one of those guys in Colorado. And obviously, he must have thought different, or the organization thought differently. But even with those guys, you genuinely hope, like, yo, I hope that they're better off, somewhere else. Yeah, but it was an adjustment. But now I said we're just kind of seeing what Colorado's doing right now.
Gotcha. So obviously, I'm not super up on Rockies pitching, on the Rockies pitching staff. And I promise guys at home, this is not just going to be all about the Colorado Rockies. We'll get into other topics more, but obviously this is home for him. So I want to make sure that he gets comfortable before I grill him about stuff he has no idea what I'm saying about later. No,
can't wait.
No, but so who is replacing John Gray out in Colorado right now? Because obviously I know the top 3 got Marquez, Freeland, Senzatella. But after that, I'm super unfamiliar with who is pitching out in Colorado right now. So who are your 4 and 5 in that rotation?
Yeah, I know. Let's see. I want to say Austin Gomber. I'm not saying for. I might have.
Gomber, yeah.
My Thomas, if he sees this, he's gonna tear me for not knowing this. I know Gomer definitely stepped up, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I mean, I've been so kind of, the season's young. I haven't been that high into it this year yet. I mean, I'm getting more into it. The five couldn't really speak on that, but I know Gomer really stepped up, and I mean, he pitched today actually, if I'm not mistaken, against Kansas City. It wasn't his best outing, but I know Gomer in my mind kind of took Gray's spot, and I mean, I like him. I really do. I think there's a lot of potential to him too, but I think he's still trying to find that like comfortability with the team, that
Mhm.
I guess Gray kind of had. But yeah, five again. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Thomas. Can't give you the five. That's on me.
That's okay, man. Don't worry about it. So one more question about the Rockies, and not necessarily about the Rockies themselves, but I actually have a kind of a curiosity question about Coors Field. So a lot of, obviously we've even talked about it already here. A lot of talk about gets had about the air in at Coors Field and how thin it is and how fly balls, they fly and how they're weird and stuff. And obviously, you talked a little bit about how it affects pitching. But one thing that I don't really hear it being talked about a lot is how it might affect ground balls. So is that because it doesn't really have that profound of an effect on ground balls, or is it just kind of overshadowed by all the other stuff that air has an effect on? Like from a person who watches Rockies baseball quite frequently, is that a thing? Like, does it affect ground balls a lot? And what is that effect?
Yeah, so I mean, it's gonna with the air the way it is, it's gonna affect the ball whether you're just playing catch or off the bat or whatever it is. With ground balls, I mean, yeah, I feel like it tends to get overlooked the most because you don't see a lot of, like, it's not gonna hop up or anything like that. The only thing it really does is just add speed to it, because the air within the ball moves, like, so it'll go faster, and I mean, there's definitely like some like line drives and stuff that really aren't like base hits that would be in Colorado to an extent. So I know with the baseballs themselves, if I'm not mistaken, so Coors Field has I think it's a dehumidifier or humidifier, one of the two, where they keep the baseballs in.
A humidifier, yeah.
Yeah, humidifier. So the ball, because the baseballs in Colorado, they do shrink. Like when they're active with the air and stuff. Yeah, we took a tour of Coors Field years ago, and they showed us that was a big thing. But yeah, so it's like it tends to have more velocity behind it. But if it's on the ground and playing on that percent like a major league field, it's not gonna really play an effect. So it tends to get overlooked compared to a ball going 400 plus feet that would only go 375 in another stadium. You know what I mean?
Yeah, certainly. And I know I said that was the last Colorado Rockies question, but I do have one more for you that I just thought of, and I think it's a really interesting conversation. So we talked a little bit about why a lot of pitchers have not really been successful in Colorado for obvious reasons. So I feel like this is kind of weird to ask this question because it's like weirdly obvious, and so like of course they've probably tried it at some point, but I feel like if you've got a ballpark that the ball's going to fly and you need to keep the ball out of the air, why are pitchers that are not, or why aren't pitchers that are really just heavy ground ball pitchers, like guys like Rick Porcello in his prime, or Logan Webb right now, like the guys that kind of stand out to me as guys that are sinker ball pitchers that keep the ball on the ground a lot. Why are guys like that not focused on in your guys' drafts or in your development or in free agency more often than what they are?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know, speaking for the stadium, so Coors Field is the biggest stadium in the major leagues for that exact reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's bigger than, like, the field's bigger from dimension, whatever. But I said when it comes to the draft, like, prospects, like who you're looking at and things, like you say, ground ball pitchers, right? I mean, I think a big thing, because I know, I mean, speaking on Freeland's, I mean, Freeland, he's a hometown kid. He knows Colorado baseball. He knows like the way it affects and things like that. But I really just I think that it's not that big of a concern in a sense, because at the end of the day, you still got to be able, like the team that rolls in, like say from California, the Dodgers, they roll in, you still be able to hit that ball in the air that far. Like the air, it plays a factor, but it's not, you hit in the air, it's gone. You know what I mean? So, and I think Colorado's really trying to find first off, a way to, make Colorado baseball more of a, how do you say, I don't want to say enjoyable because it's great and everyone knows about it, but like more of a, like this is a legit baseball franchise. Because I personally think in the baseball world, it's not viewed as, the Dodgers or the Red Sox. And granted, they're not at that level. There's a lot of history behind both those teams, and things like their organizations. But a baseball team in Colorado is just kind of why, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. I mean, same thing is down here. We got in Knoxville. There's the Ice Bears team. Everyone's like, there's a hockey team in Knoxville. Like, why? You know what I mean? Just some things don't seem to make sense, and and it's all a numbers game. You gotta have money to do these type of things. So I feel like I think they've invested more time than they should have? Yeah, probably. But I think they're really just trying to find a way to make this, not it's just the Rockies. Like, it's the Rockies. I'm being from Colorado has nothing to do with it. But, and I mean, even the pitchers we got now, I mean, a lot of them are, a lot of them are ground ball pitchers. But then again, you're gonna miss. You pitched, you knew it, and you missed stuff. It's kind of a problem. It could have been a problem, So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. And then again, that I could be 100% wrong on what they're trying to do over there, but that's kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, of course, and I wouldn't expect you to know everything about what they're doing, but it was just kind of a curiosity thing for me, because I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer. Like, all right, let's get guys that keep the ball out of the air, if that's the case, if that's a problem. But nonetheless, so moving on to something that happened today. Obviously you've been at work all day, so I'm not sure that you've heard about it, although you are pretty, you are pretty in touch with what's going on in the baseball world usually. So you probably did hear that the Cincinnati Reds lost today despite throwing a no-hitter, which I know, people at home that might not know a lot about baseball, but kind of know generic terms, like how do you give up no hits and lose? Well, it is possible. I actually had a young man that went to, I think Southeastern College, I think it was, that he went to after right before he graduated from high school, right before my freshman year. And he came to one of the practices, and I just asked him, like, what's the craziest game you've ever been a part of? And he said that I think it was his junior year, they hit the high school that I went to, they had lost a game despite throwing a no-hitter. Yeah. So like, I was just like, dude, that's wild. Like, I can't. So what is your just kind of instant reaction to that? Obviously the Reds have had a tough time this year. They're playing a little bit better now than they were, but they won a handful of games over the last couple of weeks, but it doesn't really get much lower than throwing a no-hitter and then still losing,
Even, especially to your one of your rivals too, man. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, to the Pirates. Like, dude.
Pittsburgh. It was like that scene from 42. It was like Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
That's what that was. That's the last time.
That's what Hunter Greenwood probably saying in his press conference afterward. He's like, I just threw 7 1/3 no-hit innings. I give up.
Pittsburgh, you lose, right? Yeah, honestly, man, that's one of those things that even being so invested in the game of baseball since you were little, you really don't have a reason for it. You're kind of like, how do you manage to take something so good, it's something pitchers dream of doing, and just pushing it
make
away
it so horrible? Yeah
like I was at work and I saw it, and it wasn't like the typical notification, like there's a no and all this stuff. It was just like, yeah, Reds no hit, lose 1-0. You're just like, wait, what? How does this? The whole season that Cincinnati's had so far has just been, you don't know what you're gonna get. I mean, tomorrow a UFO could land in center field. Like, if that's Cincinnati baseball this year, I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, to that extent, that was I'm at a loss for words of how you managed. Especially Hunter Green. Hunter Green's good. I think
Hunter's really good.
He's gonna be a legit problem if Cincinnati figures it out, or if he doesn't stay in Cincinnati. He'll also be a problem. I mean, he threw a no-hit. He threw 7 2/3, 7 1/3
no-hit innings. He threw 113 or 118 pitches.
That's insane. And you're like, yeah, we lost. They didn't even get in. Yeah,
and he sits 99 to 100 too.
Yeah,
like he sits at 99 and threw that many pitches. Like, it's unbelievable.
Insane. I don't even know. I don't know. I mean,
I was throwing like 62 my senior year. It was really good. Yeah.
Hey, it works. That's the prize.
I don't think it did. I don't think it did work, but I appreciate it.
Your whole life trying to get to college to face 62. Tyler Lopes story right there.
That's it. That's right. No, so I'll ask you this. A few years ago, if you remember, Matt, I think it was actually hilariously also against the Pirates. I think it was Josh Harrison that hit the homer, actually, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I could be completely off about that, but Rich Hill, when he was playing for the Dodgers, threw 9 innings of a no-hitter and went back out in the 10th. And I think it was against the Pirates as well. So that's just crazy. And ended up the one hit he gave up was a home run that walked it off in the 10th.
Yeah.
So obviously, you're not, you weren't a pitcher in college. I think were you a pitcher in high school?
No.
Okay.
Once in high school and it was bad. I don't have pitching.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So you're not a pitcher then. So, this would just kind of be coming from an outsider's perspective for you, but which one of those scenarios would you rather have? Would you rather have gone out there and thrown 7 1/3 no-hit innings, but thrown so many pitches that you had to be lifted? Your team threw the no-hitter, but you lost. Yeah. Or you threw 9 no-hit innings and then had to go back out there and you gave up the lead yourself. Like, which one would you have rather had?
Oh, shoot. That's a good question. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I know which one I'd rather have.
Yeah. So you're also a pitcher, so
yeah.
Honestly, I mean, the Hunter Green, I really feel like you can't be mad about your performance. I mean, even the other one, you really can't be mad about your performance, But me knowing the person I am, I'd rather have it be lost on my own hands. So I personally would say the Rich Hill one was because, I mean, why he was on the 10th inning, beyond me,
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'd rather if someone were to lose my no-hitter, it'd be me.
Yeah.
And let it on extras. I'm like, you know what? It sucks to lose the game, but at the end of the day, I threw at least 9 no-hit innings. And I'm not trying to discredit 7 2/3, 7 1/3, whatever it was. No, because that's how you get past the 3rd inning without any hits is beyond me. I think pitching is a different art form of baseball. I don't, but I'd probably take the Rich Hill one, knowing that I was the one who gave it up compared to someone next to me. You know what I mean?
I mean, that is a really good perspective. I really like that. I didn't think about it. Like, you would rather die by your own sword than have somebody else,
Because then it's that factor of, well, what if I stayed in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my thought on it.
That's fair. No, and for me, I would honestly 100% rather have what Hunter Green had today. And the reason is because if I went out there and I threw a no-hitter and blew the game in the 10th, I would be so devastated because even though I threw 9 no-hit innings, I would still feel like I let my team down because I went out there and I screwed it up. I would definitely be more angry would I have had what Hunter Green had, but I would still rather have it. And the reason is because in his specific instance, he threw 113 pitches. He could not pitch anymore. Like, in today's baseball, you cannot go much longer than that.
Yeah, that's insane.
So it was like, dude, I know you're throwing a no-hitter. I get it. But I literally, in good conscience, cannot let you keep pitching. I just can't do it. Like, and so I would have to go back to the dugout. Yes, I wish I could have finished the game. But, like, Hunter Green's already torn his UCL once, at least once. I don't know if it might be twice now. I don't remember. But at least once. The kid's going to be an ace someday. He's going to be. If he stays healthy, a guy that's got as gross of secondary pitches as he has and sits 99 to 100, like, he's going to be unbelievable someday if he stays healthy. Like, having that in the back of my mind, like, yeah, all right, I get it. Like, I did my job. I threw 7 1/3 no-hit innings. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So even if my team loses the game, I'd be like, you know what? I couldn't control us losing.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like, it sucks, but it is what it is. I would be mad because it's like, really? Like, you just wasted that performance. But if I were to give it up myself in extra, I'd be like, dude, like, what do you want me to do? Like, I would hate that. That would be the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I literally Well, I think I said it at the time. I was like, I'm surprised that any of Rich Hill's teammates are not dead. Like, how did he not just kill all of them? Because if I threw 9 no-hit innings and then I had to go back out there and I gave up 1 hit and we lost, I would be like, you are all cut if I'm the general manager right now. All of you. You all can go and play for freaking, well, Pittsburgh. You know?
Pittsburgh, man.
Freaking Pittsburgh.
New podcast, Beef on Pittsburgh. Right, let's talk.
And I'm sorry, Daniel, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. I have a friend of mine that lives here in Greenville that's a Pirates fan. So absolutely no disrespect to the Pirates.
Pick a new team.
Okay, apparently disrespect from Matt, but he's a nice guy, I promise. No.
Danny, you feel like a nice guy, but come on.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, Daniel. No, but
I love you, Daniel.
There you go, Daniel. You got a new friend. No, so but yeah, for me, I would 100% rather have gotten what Hunter Green got today. But obviously, you know, your perception makes a lot of sense. Like a lot of people would rather just go out there, and if they're gonna die by their own sword, and I respect that. But moving on, I do want to kind of talk about Tennessee baseball right now, because this is something that I talked to Thomas about a little bit when he came on the channel. So for you, obviously, you haven't been in Tennessee as long as he has, but you have been there for a few years now. So obviously, you know, you went to Johnson, I went to Johnson, and obviously there's tons of baseball around in the state of Tennessee, and it's been quite successful, Tennessee baseball over the last few years, and not just at UT. I'm talking about, you know, all over the place. Vanderbilt, Tennessee Wesleyan, all these places that have programs that are just so good and consistent. So what do you think has been kind of the secret for Tennessee baseball? Because, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. When we're in high school or when we're in middle school, Tennessee is not looked at as a baseball, you know, paradise, or as like a juggernaut of prospects for baseball. So, you know, what do you think is kind of the secret over the last few years for them?
I mean, I love watching Tennessee play. You know, that's a group of guys that's, you know, we're just here to play baseball, and I really think a big part of it falls under Vitello for sure, because I mean, you know, besides every mom, whoever thinking he's the hottest thing on the planet, which draws the attention to UT even more. I mean, that's someone who really understands, in my mind, understands his players. You know, he's a coach when he needs to be, but he's also not strictly just like okay, I'm here and you're here. You know what I mean? From the outside looking in, it's like, hey, you know, like we are the University of Tennessee. This is what we are. Okay, I'm not better than you, you're not better than me. This is what we are. And away from Vitello, going to like their guys, you know, Evan Russell, Jordan Beck, Gilbert, even Drew Gilbert, the list goes on, Ortega, the list goes on and on. Like that is a group of guys that really they just love being out. I mean, you can even watch an ESPN highlight, and these dudes are just, you can tell they're just having fun, you know. And you know, with Tennessee, because when you think of SEC schools, the last place you're thinking is baseball, right? You know, because it's all, the SEC is a big football conference. Everyone knows that. Basketball even too. But shout out to Clay, go Cats. But yeah, big basketball too. But like with baseball, you know, it's especially at Tennessee, they've had across all sports, they've had anything bad imaginable happen to them. When it's losing a game like ways I didn't even think were possible. And Tennessee tends to carry that, you know, connotation where, you know, there's always next year, and everyone jokes about that, whatever. And these guys just play loose. They play like, you know what? Don't overlook us. It's just the University of Tennessee. We're going to find a way to blow it eventually. You know, like they go out there like, yeah, go ahead, do that. That's fine. And that's just a group of guys that really doesn't listen to anything else. You know, they don't care what Sports Center has to say. They don't care what ESPN has to say. They're like, you know, we're here to play ball. Like, we're in college at the University of Tennessee. Like, we're like, this is the best 4 or 5 years of your life, especially being a part of this team that's just so, I mean, animated, energetic, and just brings life, I think, to the game of college baseball, you know? So that's my whole sense on it. Yeah, I love watching it, man. That's something really cool to see. I think they got some good things coming for them too.
For sure. Yeah. So do you think that UT has a shot at a natty over the next couple of years? Are those guys still around?
Yeah, I mean, I really do. I really do. You know, I mean, I know next year you're gonna lose some guys, like some big guys too, like really, really powerful dudes that have definitely contributed a lot. But I mean, I think this, like, if I just thinking this year specifically, do I think they can do it? Absolutely. Do I want to do it? Absolutely. You know, but you're also up against these programs that are, I want to say, more established in that type of setting, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, we used to play like tournaments in Omaha. We would go to those games growing up in the summer, and that's a whole different atmosphere and type of college ball compared to an exhibition game against, you know, Tennessee Tech, whatever it is, like some in-state school, or even a conference series at home or away. Being at TD Ameritrade Ballpark, even sitting in the bleachers, that is, wow. That's the peak of college baseball right there, you know? Mm-hmm. So I really think if, you know, Tennessee just kind of doesn't make it more than what it is, just stays playing to what they, you know how to do, I think either whether it's not this year or whether it's next year, I think they really, there's a national title in their sight in the next couple of years. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. That really is awesome. And I'm not the biggest like college baseball person. I'm not. Right. It's hard for me because there's just so many people. Like it's hard for me to be able to keep up with it. So, you know, and you know, maybe that's just a fault of mine, but nonetheless, it is really good to hear so much optimism coming out of there because, you know, again, like I said earlier, like Tennessee, and not just UT, but the entire state of Tennessee, it's not something that's on your radar when you're in high school, especially unless you're in Tennessee. Like, you know, I grew up in Florida, you know, you're going to all these perfect game tournaments and everything like that. And it's always Texas, Florida, California, Ohio, Georgia.
And if you're lucky, Vanderbilt. If you're lucky, Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt, right. But that's not. I don't even look at that as a athletics school. I think it's much more for education. Absolutely. And, you know, medical stuff and everything. And the baseball program is really good, but it just is kind of there also. So unless you're really in on it or unless you're watching them on TV, like it's really hard for you to go, oh yeah, out of all the places I want to go, especially in Florida, like if you got offers from Vanderbilt, UF, Florida State, you're going to UF if you're that good. Like that's just how it is. Like, you know, every 2 seconds I'd be playing and somebody would be like, oh, did you hear this guy committed to UF? Oh, did you hear this guy committed to UF? And you're like, wow, you know, it just, and then, you know, UF makes the tournament every year and loses in the first round because that's just what they do. But, you know, nonetheless, so I do want to move on because you do have your giant Georgia, I believe that's a pillow. I can't really tell if it's a pillow. Okay, I couldn't tell if it was a pillow or a blanket. Your giant pillow back there. So obviously, unlike your brother, you are a Georgia fan, which is really, really cool. No word of a lie, guys. I just learned that before this podcast. I just assumed that he was a UT fan, so that's my fault. Bad
guy.
I'm the worst. Yes. Just ask the wife. No. So no, I'm kidding. But anyway. I do want to talk about Georgia football because obviously, without even saying it was a very special year. Congratulations to you, obviously, national champions for, oh my gosh, first time since 90, I think it was, since they won 88, the national. 88. Okay, I was close. So the first time since 88, that's awesome. I mean, this was a special team for many reasons, but one of the big reasons, what?
I think it was 80. My fault. My mom's
was it 80? Okay, well, I don't know. I'm not.
Mom, it's been a long day. I've been working.
This guy, hey, he works hard. Don't give him too much crap for it. But no. So special for many reasons, but one of the main reasons is because the defense was just so dominant all year, and you saw it from the outset. I believe your first game was against Clemson, and you held them to 10 points. Now, obviously, Clemson didn't have
three. I think
was it 3 points?
Yeah, we scored 10. It was 10-3. Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah. Okay. So I knew the 10 was from somewhere. I thought it was 13-10 for some
No,
reason.
yeah, you did.
But nonetheless, Clemson didn't really have that great of a year. DJ Oyunglele really didn't step up the way I think we all thought he would. And it didn't work out for them. But they were still Clemson at the start of the year. Like, it was still like they're probably going to be in the conversation, even though it didn't end up happening. You guys, you beat Alabama. You beat everybody that stepped up in front of you. And most of the time, you did it by holding their offense to 20 or less points. I mean, you guys dominated everyone except for Alabama in that one game that you played them. But then obviously the national championship was a much different story. So I do want to kind of talk to you about what made this defense so special, other than, of course, I mean, obviously you got to have guys that are talented, right? But at the same time, like, talent doesn't always win you everything. Ohio State hasn't really won much over the last, 5 years since their national championship run. And I think pretty much every year they're looked at as the second or third best team in the country. And, you think, oh, well, if they're the second or third best, things kind of swing your way. You might end up winning, and they just haven't really won anything. So talent doesn't really win you games at that level. It's something else. So what is that something else for the Georgia defense this year, other than, of course, the talent?
Of course, man. Of course. Every leading up to this year, every year it's, okay, you got to get past Bama. I mean, you've shown you can beat Tennessee. You've shown you can beat Florida. You've shown you can beat, Clemson, LSU, whoever it is. Dude, you got to get past Bama. And in 2018, blowing that big lead, blowing that lead to Bama, man, that's the Georgia, like, not even just defense, the foundation of that team is, listen, man, we know what we can do. We can do this against anybody. We got to beat Bama, man. Because that's that one neck and neck team that's you just know about them so much, you really, like, you don't like them, but you really can't not like them, for the same reason. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I know with that defense, their biggest thing was, especially that national championship, man, like, you blowed 28 points, 31 points, whatever it was, in a half. Like, that's crazy. That's a big part of that. All of defense. That's a defensive thing. And I think that's something that Kirby really tried to focus on the most, was that never has to happen ever again. But that they just have that fire in them. I feel like it showed on the field throughout this year, was that they want to change the whole dynamic of the Georgia football, because you always had, Georgia was a big running back school for the longest time. No Sean Moreno, Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel, to DeAndre Swift, all them dudes, even the dudes now, like, we used to call it RBU, running back university. They were care about the defense. That really just, all that stuff kind of built up in them. Like, hey, we're gonna make this defense is gonna be like, oh, it's Georgia's defense. Oh my God, this is crazy. So that's, that was a big part of, and also having a dude that's 6'5", 330 that can run like a tight end was also a good addition as well. But yeah, for sure.
I assume you're talking about Jordan Davis.
I absolutely. That's not even a person.
That's a monster, dude.
That is a factory model machine right there.
Yeah. So I do want to talk a little bit about the first round of the draft this year, and I'll stick to just Georgia for you. I believe it was 5 Georgia defenders in the first round, and I'm going to try to name them. Lewis Seen went at 32. Devontae Wyatt, Jordan Davis, Quay Walker, and oh my gosh, I can't remember who the 5th one was, but there is somebody else that I'm completely forgetting.
Oh, who is? Yeah, I was talking about though. Yeah,
it is somebody else. I keep thinking Nakobe Dean, but he went in the 3rd round. He should have gone in the 1st round if he didn't get injured, but nonetheless, I'm blanking. Somebody will probably tell me in the comments later, but nonetheless, this defense was obviously very, very special, and we just talked about it a little bit. But which one of those guys in that was taken in the 1st round do you think is going to have the most success at the next level?
Oh, that's a hard question.
And I'll put Nakobe Dean in there too, because let's be honest, he would have been a 1st round pick had he been healthy. So he's definitely as talented as those other guys. So
I mean, obviously, I really think that they're all going to be a different type of beast in the NFL. I really do. Especially, I feel like Nakobe Dean getting taken the third round. Like it's kind of something that's it's definitely going to be with him as like a motivation factor. You know,
Mhm.
I'm not saying he was, I deserve to be drafted sooner. No, I mean, at the end of the day, you got drafted, and that's all you can really ask for at that stage. But
Mhm.
um, I mean, I think Dean's gonna, he's gonna kind of play as if, yeah, I had first round draft, I was if that, what I'm saying. I'm about to
I
film
do.
my own words, but I think Trayvon Walker. He's gonna be something special, but I really hope he kind of
Oh,
stays with it.
Trayvon. I forgot the first overall pick. That's who I was forgetting.
Oh, I thought you had mentioned that before.
No.
No, I thought you just butchered his
Oh,
name.
no. I said Devontae Wyatt, Lewis Cine, Jordan Davis, and Quay Walker, and I'd forgotten about the number 1 overall pick in the draft because I'm an
I didn't
idiot.
hear the same way. Yeah, I was like, oh, he must mean Trayvon. I'm not gonna say it.
That's how you guys know how tired I am. I mean, it's just I forgot about the number 1 overall pick as if that's normal. Anyways, go ahead, Trayvon Walker. Yes, clearly.
Yeah. And like I said, Jordan Davis, man. I love watching him play. I really do. And this made me be like kind of being biased or anything like that. But something about Jordan Davis just being on the field, just something to watch. Something to watch. No matter what he's doing, you just want to watch it.
I'm trying to remember who drafted Jordan Davis.
Oh.
I'm forgetting right now. I'm gonna have to look, but I always want to say the Eagles, but I don't think
I was thinking because I knew it wasn't Jackson, obviously.
Right.
It wasn't the Jets.
No, it wasn't the Jets. I know they got.
I think it was. I think it was Philly. Because
Philly got Nakobe Dean and it was Jordan. It was Philly. So our instinct was correct. I don't know why I thought it wasn't. I guess I just didn't put together that they got Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, which is ridiculous.
They got a steal with that too, getting Dean.
Oh, for sure. Philly had a great draft.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, no. If I had to pick one, I would say Nakobe Dean. I loved Nakobe Dean. I think he's going to be. Oh God, your next Darius Leonard. Like I think he could be your next Darius Leonard, where he's just such a big leader on your defense, and being out there in Philly, like he will have to adjust because Philly's a different animal, and I don't just mean the Eagles. I mean the city. Like that city does not care if you were a 3rd round pick. If you go out there and you're on the field and you stink, they will not like you. They will not care about you. They will run you off the field. And that goes for baseball, that goes for basketball, that goes for football, that goes for hockey, that goes for any other sport that you have in Philly. That's how it's going to be. Yeah. So he'll have to adjust to that because Georgia and Georgia fans are so loyal that they probably would. Y'all probably would have loved Nakobe Dean had he not done anything. But
absolutely
right. So in Philly, it's going to be the opposite. So I'll have to adjust to that. But I think he'll be just fine in Philly, and I think he'll become an All-Pro. I really do. Especially considering he was a 3rd round pick, like you said, got that extra motivation. Where I had him being taken in the 1st round in all my mock drafts, and he ends up going to the 3rd. I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be ticked,
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. So, all right. So I do want to move on to some just Johnson University questions here because obviously, another Johnson connection here. You guys have really obviously played a huge part of my channel. So thank you for that. But there's something I want to talk about you specifically, Matt, and it's your routine when you go to the plate. I've always wanted to ask you this question. I never have, as far as I can remember. Maybe I did early on, but I don't remember. For those of you who do not know and have not seen Matt play, his pre at bat routine and pre pitch routine, really, it's pretty much every pitch. He licks his bat. That's what he does. And the only person that I've seen do that is Yasiel Puig. And maybe there's some others, but I can't really remember. So was that something that you've been doing your whole life? Was that something that you started doing after you saw Yasiel Puig do it? Like what kind of sparked that routine for you?
Yeah. Well, okay, so there's kind of a little like there was like kind of a break in the middle of it, right? So
Mhm.
I remember I want to say I may have been like 12 or 13, and I don't know. This is sound really weird as why Matt licked his bat as a 13-year-old, but I was at the plate, whatever it was, and I'd seen something on my bat, and I couldn't lick my thumb to get it off because I was like kind of OCD about it. So what's the next best thing as a 13-year-old? Just straight up lick it. May have been dirt or something nasty like that. I don't really know. Um, but yeah, so that kind of prompted it, and then being a superstitious 13-year-old, I got a hit or something good happens. Oh, I gotta keep
Yeah.
doing this. And then after that, at that year, I kind of stopped. And then actually, I mean, I saw Puig do it. I always told everyone, I was like, no, I don't do it because, but I mean, it really wasn't a thing. But you remember Max McCoy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had seen because like I said I had done it a couple of times here and there, but it was never like an everything thing. And then when I first came down to watch Thomas play, it was his freshman year. I seen this dude with long, Jesus flow hair, and I saw him lick his bat, and I was like, oh, I used to do that. That's crazy. And I was
Mhm.
like, that got me thinking. I was like, wait, do I still do that? And then after that, man, it just kind of just snowballed down from there, And I love being especially in high school, being at the plate, and they see a kid with the Bryce Harper eye black down to his neck, and the stirrups and all. He's out there like hip thrusting in the batter's box and he's licking his bat. I mean, I was always, this is like this is what you're here for. This is it. I didn't want to be, as much as I seem stereotypical by the way I dressed and I acted. I didn't want to be. I wanted to be. Oh, I know that that kid licks his bat. You know what I mean? And that carried on to college. And now it's just I've been doing it ever since I was consistently since I was like 15. And
Gotcha.
it's stuck,
Yeah.
man.
Okay. So definitely, either I had asked you and you had gave me a very brief
Yeah.
like overview because I have not heard that. So that's really cool. I didn't want to assume that you did it because of Puig because I feel like that's just kind of a cop out, and that would also be kind of sad. Like, yeah, I did it because of Puig. Oh, no more than that. All right, well,
No, I mean,
all
I
right,
love
fair.
watching Puig play. It was definitely fun to watch, but it was like, no, him and I, we're the same in that
I
aspect.
was
He
gonna
comes
say
from
I would have
Houston,
been confused because like you're a Rockies fan, so shouldn't you hate Yasiel Puig, right? But yeah, no, so that's really awesome. So and uh your story kind of reminded me so you talked about how like you loved that you kind of loved that feeling of like people looking at you like what what is this guy doing? And I remember the funniest thing I ever did that I can remember when I was in the batter's box was I was just playing in like a rec league or something for little league, and I was probably like 13 or 14, and this kid was pitching against me, and he was a brother of one of my buddies that I played travel ball with.
right?
He was like a year or two younger than me. He's pitching and he's not doing that great, and I get up to bat, and I was swinging a good bat that year, as good of a 13-year-old bat as you could have, I guess.
That's right.
Hitting the ball 18 feet and getting hits every time
Amen.
because I'm 8 pounds. So like, I get up there and he throws 3 straight balls, and I don't know what got into me, but I wish I could remember. I remember his brother's name. I can't remember the kid who's pitching's name now, but I knew it then, obviously. And I looked out at him and I said, "Hey, throw me a strike!" I just started screaming at him.
That's just weird.
And the catcher just goes, "Hey, you heard him. Throw him a strike." And then he finally threw me a strike, but it was a 3-0 count, so I took it. And I said, "Good, do it again. Throw me another one." And then I hit a double.
That's amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, his brother wasn't very happy with me after the game, but
Yeah, I was always the smallest dude, so I couldn't like, hey, throw me a strike. Like, shut up, pipsqueak.
Oh, I was too. I just didn't care. I
Nah,
was an idiot. Yeah.
I was always finding ways to be different. I think my mom got a picture. I used to pitch back in my like 12, 13 days.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I had rolled my pants up because we had long pants, but I looked like the short pants look. And one of them had fell down, right? And I had no idea. I'm talking for like 2 innings, no idea. So there's a picture of me on the mound looking like at my feet, and there's one leg up, one leg down. And I mean, however I did a side, I fell in love with look. I'm pretty sure I rocked that look for like 3 months. And then I was told unprofessional as a 13-year-old. I was like, whatever. Okay. So I just stopped doing it.
That's awesome. I'm thinking of those old like hillbilly shows, those old country shows where you got the guy with like the straw coming out of his mouth and everything like that. All right, so the next thing I kind of want to talk about, moving back to just kind of your time at Johnson. So you've obviously grown a lot as a person and a player since you've been at Johnson. You know, I do have to ask you a question that I've been wanting to ask you for years. Did you hate me when you first met me? Because I feel like you might have.
No.
And I just really want to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not just saying this because I'm on your podcast and I'm on your time, but no, honestly, when I first met you, I had asked my brother, I was like, yo, is this kid okay? Like, is there, like, he was this most energetic, like, you know, I'm Lopes, I'm all this stuff, and I'm just, yo, you're going 1,000,000 miles a minute, man. I don't know how you got this much energy. Because only thing I knew about Johnson was from Thomas, you know, and he never mentioned someone that was just so like energetic and stuff. I mean, he may have, and he just never really, like, the words didn't do it justice, if that helps, you know. No, I always thought I was like, you know what, man, if I ever, like, you know, I failed a test or if I was ever upset, you know, Lopes, he'll say something, and I'll be like, yep, okay, because like I said, you know, and this isn't me just saying this. I was like, man, this kid's got a lot of energy. He's just like the most, you know, like, hey, Lopes, man, you know, my pen ran out of ink. Bro, don't even worry about it, man. We'll get you a new pen. Everything will be great. I'll tell you, pens are, man. They were just going a whole thing, man. And then it became my freshman year, man. I just go in there like, you know what? I just need to hear Lopes right now. And then I'd be gone for 2 hours, and we'd just be chatting it up, you know?
Yeah, those are awesome times, and I appreciate you saying that. I really do, and you know, I hope I didn't rant to you about pens specifically ever, because I
like pens.
I would feel terrible if I did that to you.
You can make me love pens, like, insane. I don't know how, but you probably could do it for sure.
I don't know. I don't even love pens. I don't know how I could do that, but
doesn't matter. You'll still do it.
It doesn't matter. Oh, that's awesome. No, because and the reason I asked that question was because when I first met you, you would come on a visit, and I think it was my freshman year. I'm pretty sure. Thomas was a junior, so it would have been my sophomore year that you came on a visit then.
Yeah, because you graduated a year after, right?
Yeah, I graduated the year after Thomas. So, and because I was thinking if it was my freshman year, I'm surprised I was that energetic because I was going through a lot. I had a lot of problems my freshman year, but sophomore year, that makes a lot more sense. So I remember you would come on a visit, and Thomas had come by my room and said, "Hey, my brother's here. Do you want to go meet him?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, man. I'd love to meet your brother." And I knew nothing about you. I didn't know what kind of person you were. I didn't know,
right,
you know, how similar you were to Thomas, because Thomas is a very introverted guy unless you get to know him, and then he just explodes. Like, that's just kind of how so I didn't want to assume that you were that, like, exactly the same, but I didn't want to assume you weren't either, because then it's, you know, then I'm just like, and you're like, never speak to me again. Like, so I didn't want to do that either. But yeah, I don't know. There was a couple of questions that you had asked me, and I felt like they were like snooty comment questions, like where you were like, so who are you and what do you do? Like, it was kind of like those, not that specific, but I was like, and I walked out of the room and I was like, oh my God, I think that kid hates me. Like, I don't know what I said or what I did to him, but I think he really doesn't like me at all.
No, no, it was never like because in my mind, it's like, these are college athletes, you know, because I never really been around like a lot of people like that. And, you know, I was also the dumb high school kid too. So everything I said, you know, came across as rude and stuff. It was never intentional. I liked it. I was like, dang, Thomas, like, you know, these guys are cool. I like these guys, you know. It was never good. I like everyone except Lopes. I hate that kid. No, stay
exactly. That's what I thought. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I made him hate me. I don't know what I said. I'm so sorry, because I get myself in trouble a lot. It's something I do. I don't shut up ever, and so sometimes I say things that I shouldn't. And so I just walked out of there, and I'm like, I don't remember what I said to make this kid hate me, but clearly, I have done something wrong. And now I can never speak to Thomas again.
Man, you couldn't have asked me that once with school for like 2 years. Whole time you're going, yo, he probably hated me. I just knew it.
No, I didn't. No, obviously I didn't. I didn't think that you hated me after that. Like right. Obviously, once you got to the school and once we started talking and hanging out, clearly whatever had happened had vaporized from your mind.
The beef before
exactly. So, but I was curious because like there always was that little kind of tidbit in my mind where I'm like, I don't know, like, I feel like the first impression, he might not have liked me, but then once he actually got there, and once you actually talked to me for more than 2 minutes, it was like, oh, okay, he's just out of his mind all the time. He's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I was meeting a lot of different people. I was in a whole different environment. I was like, this place is amazing, like so it was a lot. I met a lot of people so I understand if it was kind of like I seem uninterested or I seem like,
Fair enough. Yeah, that's good. I can breathe now. No,
you can sleep knowing that Matt likes you. It's crazy.
That's the greatest honor I could ever have. So we talked about UT a while ago, and you did go to UT for a little bit there. Obviously, you left Johnson for a minute, and then you went back to UT. So I don't want to get into all that because I know that it was a difficult point in your life. So I won't air any kind of laundry like that. But what I do want to ask you is, what was the biggest kind of factor in you coming back to Johnson? Because I know obviously you had left Johnson for very specific reasons. Mm-hmm. And obviously those reasons were still there when you came back. So why back to Johnson and not, okay, UT didn't work out, why don't I try this place instead? Like, why did you come back?
Yeah. Oh no. You're good. And yeah, UT was definitely that was a very I would say difficult time in my life, especially my young life. With a lot of different aspects. But one thing that really I really learned at UT was I needed that like direction. You know what I mean? Like I said, like growing up, we didn't have this, openly, you're open about your faith as much as it is down here, right? Because it's Colorado, it's a whole different system, the way they everything's set up, So I was never really open about my faith a whole lot, I was very, this is my faith, this is me, like don't worry about it, this is mine, don't ask me about it. But being at UT, and dealing with the things that were happening, and even aside from like my own things, the way that COVID and all that stuff, that was that first semester after we were able to go back, like I said, I needed that direction. Like, I'm beyond thankful I got to go back to Johnson and play a baseball game, but honestly, that ultimately wasn't the reason why I came back, like I said, I wanted that direction, and I really didn't realize, and this is sound kind of cliche, in my mind it sounds cliche, was how much that like I had taken what Johnson kind of is for granted, in a sense of I needed that, like I needed my family more than anything. I needed God more than anything at that time, and us being so close to Johnson, and there's nothing against UT, but like the main thing was God. I really needed God, because like I said, I was in a bad place, and that was the main factor. That was the whole, why Johnson over one of the other hundreds upon hundreds of schools that I could have gone to. It was definitely the faith side of things was the whole drive to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And obviously your family has kind of relocated from Colorado to Tennessee for the most part. But did you ever think about going back home during that time? Like, did you ever think about, maybe I find a Christian school in Colorado, or just find another school in Colorado and go back to, that kind of familiarity?
Yeah. There's a number of like faith-based institutions in Colorado. I'm not saying it's like some, lawless, no.
Right. Yeah.
But honestly, my biggest thing was I didn't want to be anywhere near. From the sense, I'm not trying to get dark, but like from the sense of, this is a new chapter in my life. I want to be kind of on my own. You know what I mean? And I mean, I've gone back to visit and here and there, but I love the air. I love the place, and like I said, a big thing was the whole, the more openness, I guess you could say, about God and stuff here. That, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could have found it in Colorado, absolutely, but you know, I just saw that like comfortability at Johnson again. That as a freshman, I had taken for granted because I was a freshman in college. It was going from me and that big dog is here in high school to like, all right, it's college. It was a whole different ball game. You know what I mean? And then going to a big school where it's, completely different than a small school like Johnson, and seeing truly what it was from the outside looking in. You know what I mean? Being just down the road. That's what kind of drew me back to it over like going to back home or another place too. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's just, and mostly that second question was out of curiosity, because I know that in tough times in my life, it's been very tempting to go back to what you're familiar with and go back to just kind of going back to your roots. And when times got tough in my life, I didn't just think about, going to school in Florida, going back to school in Florida. It's like, maybe I want to go back to Boston. Maybe I want to go back to Massachusetts where I grew up because I'm comfortable there. There's a lot of things that I miss about them. So like, maybe I go back there if things don't work out. So like, I that was just more of a curiosity thing, because I know that was a part of my mindset too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely was, I mean, I spent my entire life in Colorado. Why would I want to go back to that? But I think that was something that definitely was a hard pill to swallow for me. Was, you know what? I mean, I'm already at this point. Like, what's sticking through it in a sense of not going back? Like, let's just see. Honestly, in my mind, it was like, you know what? Why not? Let's try it. I was so open to the idea of let's just change everything.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I get you though.
So I want to talk about, you mentioned it a little earlier. I want to talk about the COVID year, because I don't really know. I think that was your sophomore year. That was your freshman year. Goodness gracious. I don't know why I thought it was, but hey. So obviously, your first year of college gets cut short. And obviously, you got to go back home, or whatever it is, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, whatever the case was for you. That was tough on a lot of people, and your brother was one of them. Obviously his last year of college baseball gets cut off. But what was your mindset during that time? Because obviously, like, it's not a secret at this point. If you've watched any videos on the channel, you guys would know this by now. Like, for me, I was sad that the year got cut short because I felt like I was performing well, but at the same time, my arm was falling off.
Yeah.
So, and then my back started to fall apart too, and I'm still paying for it. So it's been tough, and it's hard to not look at the COVID year as a blessing, because if I had kept going, who knows what would have happened. But so, and I always feel kind of bad when I say that, because it hurts so many people, and I don't want to diminish that for anybody, but like, and I didn't want it to end for me either. Like, a part of me wants to go, well, I would have rather, broken my back than had the year cut short, but that's irresponsible of me to say. So, for you, what was your mindset, and what was the hardest thing about that year for you?
Yeah, I think when it first had happened, I mean, I'm pretty sure, remember, UT got sent home, our game got canceled, and we were just sitting there. Remember that? We were just sitting there. Yeah. We didn't know what was going on. Everyone was going home except for us. So we're just sitting there. We're just like, okay, I don't know what to do. Like, we just kind of went back to what we were doing. And then the more we kind of got information about it, the more we're like, okay, this is going to be it,
Yeah, we're done. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was definitely something, for me, I didn't think of myself as much, what I'm saying? Like I said, I thought of Thomas as more, because I guess it was his last year, and it was just my freshman year. I didn't really, in my mind, it wasn't that big of a deal for my like own stuff. But I mean, I was a big part of it was just being, make sure Thomas was like, okay, bro, like, you know, everything's good. Like, you know, just kind of doing it became, you know, doing whatever he wanted. And I'm not trying to make like a sad story on Thomas, you know, but you know, when your career is done and you're just had no idea, you know what I mean? I mean, that was the game, the day. Remember the day before the last game we played before it got shut down.
Union, yeah.
Me and Thomas played. That was the only game we ever played in college together. And my mom has that picture, like her favorite picture. I mean, it really does mean a lot. But
That's awesome.
yeah, it was less on me and as much as I was like, you know, I couldn't imagine. And you know, I haven't seen it in college, even in high school too, or people that move on to big milestones in their life, you know. and then it just kind of, you know, we spent it as it was a big growth thing for a lot of us. I mean, for a lot of people too. I mean, you know it.
Yeah.
You got to get creative when things that, I mean, you're cooped up inside for however long it was, you know, and it was tough at times. I mean, I gotta say, you know, it was definitely tough a whole lot, but you know, coming back and getting back in the swing of things, we're like, okay, you know, I don't know what to expect. You know, and it really taught, you know, I'm assuming a lot of people the true meaning, the true thing of, you know, enjoy it while you can, because everyone understands that, but you know, until something truly happens, you're just like, okay, enjoy it while you can, yeah, but then something happens, you're like, oh my god, like if you had told me, well, like when I woke up this morning, like today's gonna be the last day you ever get to play baseball with your brother, I'm like, dude, you're crazy. There's no shot. Like, why? You know what I mean? So I may have gone off track a little bit or off topic.
No, not at all.
It was. It's just something that, you know, you really can't pinpoint. You can't really relate it to anything else. You know. Yeah. And the mindset coming back was, all right, be ready to come back home. That was the mindset for me. Was, all right, let's get ready to leave. You know, didn't bring a whole lot, but I mean, you know, thank God, you know, everything kind of mellowed out, you know, and I know it affected a lot of people, and this still does here and there, you know, but I mean, I guess the one thing that I really wanted was trying to move forward with it, you know, like at the end of the day, the sun's gonna still rise, you know, and whether, I mean, I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to downplay the, you know, how people were affected by it and things like that, but you know, there's always you know, there's a chance to move forward and things, and then and like on your own time too, you know. And with COVID, it was, you know, let's move on, let's see what we can do while we can in case something else happens, you know.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I couldn't imagine. And I talked about it in the Thomas and Clay podcast as well. I it might have affected you a little more because, you know, you were 1 year removed from high school, so I know, at least I'm pretty sure you probably had friends from back at your high school back home that, you know, were 1 year behind you that, you know, you hung out with all the time, and you know, for them, their senior year of high school gets cut short, and unlike you and unlike me, they don't get an extra year of eligibility. So like, they just, you know, they work their whole high school career to get their senior year, and then gone, bye, off to college you go. And what really, I didn't talk about this last time though, is, you know, one thing that a lot of people might not think about is there are probably a lot of guys that relied on that senior year. Absolutely. That needed that senior year because they were like, okay, I'm on the fringe of being, you know, D1 or D2, or maybe D3 or D2. And then, you know, God forbid, you know, like if I don't perform this year, I might not play ever again. Like, well, whatever the case is, you're like, there's some guys that needed that senior year to perform, and then they don't have it. Right. Like what happens to them? You know, what happens at that point? And you know, also, like, if you're not committed by the time your season ends, you know, what happens to you at that point? Like that had to be really tough. So was there anybody that you knew from back home that kind of had to deal with something like that?
Oh yeah, plenty. A good number of people from, you know, a number of different schools and different sports too that were, you know, that was their senior year, like that was their bank year, you know, that was something that they're, okay, this is gonna be it. And you know, and that, you know, from my understanding, the ones that were definitely closest to me, and like you know, they started working their own things out with life, you know, and started, you know, they're on their own path, you know, and I've got nothing but, you know, good wishes for them. Hope they do best, you know, but just being there, and like, and even with Thomas, it was like, dude, I don't know how you feel, I don't know what to tell you, so that was one of the true moments of the only thing I can do is listen, you know what I mean? Because yeah, I mean, you know it too, it didn't affect our grades, you know what I mean, as much, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I remember, dude, we'd be on the phone with families and stuff, and that had their my son doesn't get his senior year, my daughter doesn't get her senior year. She they had XYZ schools talking to them, and they don't cut them off and stuff, and it's something that you can just kind of sit there and you're like, oh, this is real, this is something that you would never you never thought was imaginable, and everything just stops, so you're just all we could really do is just listen, But yeah, I remember the phone calls. I remember all those conversations where I'm just like, dude, I wish there was something I could do. I really do. But I mean, that was a struggle for me too. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure the same way. You hate the fact that you can't do something to help. So you're just, dude, I feel like a liability. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And
no, I completely agree with you. And there were so many things that were difficult about that time, but I think the most difficult time for me, and I don't know what you went through, obviously you went into the COVID, that off time, reasonably healthy and everything like that. And for me, it was, I went home and then I proposed to, obviously, Tracy, now my wife. And, and then 3 days later I get an MRI. And, now it's like, all right, I'm getting surgery next week, and, we got to send home like end of March. I went under the knife May 8th of 2020. So it was really difficult because, obviously with COVID, where the way it was, were you in Tennessee at that time?
Yeah.
You stayed in Tennessee. So maybe it was similar, but in Florida, it wasn't as like strict and stringent as other places. And Tennessee also was not as strict and stringent as other places. So maybe it was similar for you. But, when you can't go to restaurants or you can't go to stores, having surgery is about the worst thing that could ever happen to you. Because
like, hey man, here's chicken and rice.
Anything. Like, I couldn't go to a gym, I couldn't go to a field, I couldn't go to a restaurant, I couldn't do anything. I was stuck in my house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with just horrible pain, not being able to sleep. It was horrible. Like, I tell this story now because it's a lot better now, like looking back on it. But at the time, I would call my now wife and I would say, like, I don't know how I'm going to make it. Like, I don't know how I'm going to make it out of this and still be sane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's just like, you can't see anybody, you can't do anything. It was really tough, but like, and obviously so many people had it way worse. And I don't want to make it seem like it was the end of the world for me, because obviously it wasn't, but, and I'm very lucky that as far as I can remember, I didn't really lose anybody to COVID in my family. So it was, I'm obviously very blessed to not have it affect me in that way as it affected so many other people. But yeah, it just was a crazy time, man. It really was. But I do want to end this podcast on a happy note. I don't want to just, make it all nice and dreary for the rest of it. So I wanted to just kind of ask you a couple questions about, like, what are some of your favorite moments at Johnson, whether it's, directly with me or just in general, because obviously, I don't know if you're aware of this, Mr. Williams, but you are the first interview that I have done one-on-one on this podcast. So you do have that distinct honor of being the first solo interview that I've done. And it's a little, there you go, put it up on the wall. And so obviously it's a little little more awkward to ask, like, what's your favorite moment about me, than it is when there's more than one person in the thing, right? So you can kind of bounce back and forth and have it be about everybody. So what are some of your favorite moments just in general about Johnson baseball and about your time there?
Yeah, I'm gonna start my Lopes moment, man. My favorite
no.
one. Yeah. The notorious Daddy's Home. Notorious. And listen. From my understanding, okay, the game, I mean, it was Tacoa, if I'm not mistaken. Who was it? Or Tacoa was the walk-off, wasn't it?
Tacoa was my walk-off, yeah.
Brian.
Yeah,
Brian. Yeah, I mean, it was I mean, it was a close game. We were losing the game. We're up by 1, whatever it was.
It was 0-0. I didn't give up a run that day.
It was? No, it was? Okay. So all I remember is that it was not the scene to abruptly yell Daddy's Home, right? Mm-hmm. But Lopes went out there. First time I seen you pitching, since before your surgery, right?
Yeah.
Lopes, like, you know what? I remember you said something to me about how, you're just like, you know what? Like, I'm not sure if I got anything in here, but we're going to see what we can do with it, right? Something along those lines. And you went out there and we're like, oh, first guy goes down. Like, oh, hold on. Next guy goes down. All right. When that third dude went down, it was like we just won the World Series, and it was a 0-0 ball game, right? Especially against a team like Brian that ran us, throughout the year. We were in no position to be like, but dude, I swear I've never been so hyped as a Johnson University athlete than seeing Tyler Lopes walk off at Daddy's Home. And it wasn't subtle. No, you could hear it in West Knoxville, bro. It was amazing. God, I love that song. I want that as my ringtone. But definitely, I'm pretty sure if you ask anyone, they'll say road trips definitely a big thing. So much fun. Seeing you and Levi and Kev playing that Stratomatic, is that what it was called? Yes. Stratomatic, and I'm walking up and you'll explain something to me, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't even know what this kid's talking about. This is amazing.
Pretty much.
Yeah, road trips are, they're always fun. And definitely, I remember my freshman year how you and good old Trav Dog lived across the hall from me and Thomas, and I go in there, I use your mini hoop a little bit, watch you play some 2K or play the show or something, and we just start chatting it up, and oh man, that stuff's crazy. But I mean, enough about you. I'm trying here to talk about you. Enough about. No, but like I said,
completely agree.
Yeah, it was. I mean, just especially being a part of a team at in a small environment. We're always together. We lunch together. We work out at like around the same times, and we just hang out together. We play games, all this stuff, man. It's just it's something that you'll look back and you're like, I won't have that bond with that many amazing people, and being able to do it every day and do it so for the sole fact that y'all are still playing like the sport that y'all fell in love with since you was little. But I mean, there's a handful of moments like on the field that definitely are just wow. If I could name anything, wow, it's that. I mean, whenever Travis struck out Blake in the fall, man, it was like I could have swore that campus was gonna burn down that day. That was the hype, amazing,
Right.
I mean, but definitely, I mean, no matter really what happens, I mean, I've had my fair shares of ups and downs, whether it was injuries or making, like a Mid-East region or whatever it was, or winning a Gold Glove, or having a good year, a bad year. It's definitely getting the sole fact of getting to play with my brother. That was always a big thing for me. Even in high school, we'd play here and there. He was always here and I was always there. And then being at Johnson, finally the same team, like that was it. We lived together too. We used to just start fighting and stuff because it was fun. It was your brother.
Yeah, I remember walking in on a couple of those.
Yeah, and we weren't even upset with each other. We would just start fighting for no reason at all, and then just pick up our stuff. No, but that's something that I've always really brought home, close to home, and because of him, like the relationships that I've built, like meeting that kid Tyler Lopes, that I was like, yo, is he okay? Like, what? Why is he? That's 1,000 words, 30 seconds, bro. Are you good? Yeah, no, definitely the relationships. That's something that Johnson will always be in my mind known for, is the relationships and being, I knew a lot of the older guys and y'all, like, before I was even there. So it was really cool to kind of, yeah, I mean, I had my teammates in my grade and friends in my grade and stuff, but also having that kind of guidance from y'all as well, was something that definitely got me a lot more through college than y'all would have expected. But yeah, I don't know. Dang, that's crazy to think about. And now one more year left, man. That's insane. I went fast like that.
It always does, man. It always does, and it's so weird to think back on just, I mean, like you said, how quickly time flies. Like it feels like just yesterday I was graduating high school, and now I'm a year removed. Like I just went to graduation, and like Tracy looked at me and said, "You do realize that this means that we've been out of school for a year?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, it's already been a year. Like I remember when I was thinking about, like, oh my God, how am I going to go to Alaska? Like, that's crazy. I have to go to, and now it's been like 8 months since I've been to Alaska. And it's just like, like,
yeah, it's crazy stuff, right?
It's wild how fast time goes. But I don't want to leave anybody disappointed. I will tell my favorite Matt Williams moment. You did kind of already talk about one thing that I was going to bring up, and it was just the times where you would just kind of randomly pop into the room and sit down, and I'll tell you why that was so special for me, is because nobody did that. Nobody else did that. You were the only one. And there were times where I kind of felt like an outsider a little bit, because I wasn't somebody that went out a lot and did a lot of things, or did a lot of stuff at night or anything. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not a big party person. I just don't. It's not my cup of tea. Nothing wrong with it, but this is not my thing. I'm very, when I come back from whatever I'm doing, it's because I worked hard throughout the day, and I want to relax, and I want to just kind of stay in. So I kind of felt a little alone at times, and like you just coming in and hanging out with me, even if it was just for 2 minutes, like that's what it made it so special. And Thomas would do the same thing, dude. Like, I'm gonna embarrass Thomas for a little bit here, but I told him when he left, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do without you coming into my room at 11:30 at night in your underwear asking for pistachios. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Hey, mom, if you're watching this, Mom, that's what the money went to right there. That was it.
Like, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do without the random stuff that just would happen when you guys were around. And like, that is, and I told my wife this today, like, I don't miss baseball at all. Not yet, anyway. Like, I don't miss it at all. I gave everything I had to it. I left my heart and my soul out there, and then so I don't have any qualms about coming back or doing something else. Like, I'm done, and I'm okay with that, and I'm happy with that, and I don't want to go back. But the things that I miss the most are just being with you guys. Like, I miss you guys 100%, hanging out with you guys every day. I miss that. But the actual game itself, I'm all right. Like, I haven't even really watched a lot of baseball this year. I watched a little bit, but I haven't really watched a lot of it because I just don't have like a desire to do that right this second. And a lot of that's because the NBA playoffs are happening right now, and the NBA draft stuff's happening right now, and so I got a lot on my plate already. But it's just, I don't have that desire. But I miss you guys a lot, and I miss hanging out with you guys all the time. But another great Matty moment is probably one that you don't particularly like, and I'll tell you why it was my favorite Matty moment when I'm done saying what it was. And it was I think it was the night that I had the walk-off against Toccoa. You had come up to bat. I think it was in the second game, and I don't remember the situation at all. But I know that it was bases loaded for sure.
Oh no.
And you took a first pitch fastball and you swung about as hard as I have ever seen you swing, and you got a hold of it. And if it wasn't a cold, April night, I think that might have gone out even at our field. Like you put every ounce of strength and gusto into that baseball. And yeah, it didn't go out. And I ended up striking out to end that game. So, which by the way, I'm still mad at the Lord about that one, because I got to enjoy my walk-off for about 3 hours. Because as soon as you strike out to end the game and the other team celebrated on your field because you struck out, everything you did before is irrelevant. No, you don't care about anything. Yeah. So I'm just like, oh, great, thanks. Yeah. I don't even get to go to bed and be happy. So,
yeah. Oh man, I remember that. Oh, I remember that perfectly. Yeah, at the track or something. God.
but the reason why it was one of my favorite Matty Ice moments was because I didn't care that you had gotten out.
Right.
You hit that ball as hard as you've probably hit any baseball in your entire life.
Yeah, not even.
I mean, at least up to that point. I didn't see you play a lot this year. Maybe you hit home runs this year. I don't know. But okay. but no, and I just kind of looked at that, and like I was disappointed, yeah, because like we all wished that it went over the wall. But my second thought after, man, wish that had gone out. My second thought was, dude, this kid just stepped up. Like he stepped up big, and you didn't have to. Like you weren't a starter. You did start. By the end of the year, you had been starting quite a bit, but you weren't really a pegged starter to come into the year. You were batting lower in the lineup, and you had struggled that day too. So it was like, we get it. If he can't come through here, we get it. But you not only was the moment not too big for you, you took the first pitch you saw and you said, all right, this is the one. Like you didn't even give it time to breathe, man. And I looked at that and I was like, that's Matt. That is him. Is when like everybody has this perception of you or this idea of what they think's going to happen, and you just do something completely that nobody expects, and it's in the best possible way. Like I think, and I know I'm going way too introspective for a flyout, but I don't care, because that moment, my second thought was, that's Matty. That's Matt. Like that's who he is you think, oh, he's probably going to put up, he might put up a good battle and he might get a base hit or he might ground out. No, he's going to take the first pitch. He's going to take an absolute daddy hack and he's going to hit it to the warning track. Like that's you. To me, that's what encapsulates you is just that. I don't know what the word is necessarily, but I guess unpredictability of what's going to happen. Like that's what I love about you the most, man, is I just every time I'm with you, I never know what's going to happen. And it's the best.
Dang, I don't know. This is like, yeah. Now I understand how you were like how it was weird for you to ask, what's your favorite memory. This is, yeah, it's a weird feeling, isn't it? I don't even know how to like. No, that's really cool, man. That really means a lot to me, and dang, that, yeah. See, like I said, but just knowing that, that I was able to kind of make an impact on you as much as y'all did, and you especially did on me too. That's really cool to hear,
For sure, dude. Like you. And I this isn't going to be just blowing smoke up each other's butt for the rest of the time, I promise. But like anybody who knows you will say you have the most unique energy that I've ever Okay, so when I came up and visited a few weeks ago, the only thing that my wife and I could talk about was how happy you were to see us. Out of that whole trip, we didn't talk about the games. We didn't talk about all the friends that we saw. We talked about, oh my God, Matt was so happy to see us. It made us so happy and excited because you saw us and you just were just, at least it seemed to be that you were really happy to see us.
Yeah.
You're so expressive and so genuine with who you are that like, that's all we could think about was like, oh my God, like that just made our whole day.
Right.
Like, and I know that maybe you don't see that in yourself, but everybody else does, bro. I'm telling you, everybody else does. So, and you know, if nobody's told you that yet, I'm telling you now.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. That's the thing. See, I'm kind of like geeking out a little bit. I don't really know how to act that.
Oh man, well, all right. Well, I won't let you geek out anymore. Is there anything else that you wanted to? Is there anything else that you wanted to get into that we didn't get into in this podcast you want to talk about, or anything like that?
Nah, but this dude, honestly, this was 100% worth the month wait of cancellations and confusion. No, I mean, dude, this was so much fun. I'm really glad you let me be a part of this, and whether it's you and I just sees this or whoever, man, this was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. Like, it really did a lot, man. It was cool. It was really cool.
And I really hope that the video works this time. I've tested it over and over and over again, and it seems to all be working. So if something goes wrong with the video, I don't really know what to tell you guys at this point because I've tested it a whole bunch.
just two old friends chatting it up. I don't know. That's fine with me.
Sure, man. That's worth it to me. So, but anyways, all right, guys, that's going to be it for me. I wanted to just, again, thank you so much, Matty, for coming on the podcast. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you next time. Hey guys, me again. I just want to say thank you so much for checking out the Lopes Goes Last podcast. It means the world to me that you decided to stick all the way to the end. That's super cool. So thank you again. And if you really, really like what you see, I'd love for you to subscribe, like the video, and share it with all your family and friends because, this is my passion project. This is what I love to do, and I really want the sucker to grow. And the only way that can happen is through you guys, is if you guys can help me out. So again, if you like what you saw, please subscribe, like the video, share with all your friends and family. That's the only way this is going to grow. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.